Out there is a lot more to a secret recording involving the governor's right-hand man than we first thought. This is the one we heard a little bit from last week, where the chief of staff, Keith Gardner here, was caught telling his so-called friend that he never uses his state email for anything that could get him to go to court or go to jail. Now listen to this, where Gardner tells his friend how upset he is with Senate President Tim Jennings, who is a Democrat.
I hate those I hate Tim Jennings so bad right now.
Really?
Oh God, I hate him.
On top of that, the recording also shows Mr. Gardner threatening to fire the state fair manager, Dan Morning, and possibly give his job to Gardner's friend. A spokesman for the governor's office says that Gardner is not proud of his language and that he and Jennings work well together despite their differences. Now, the part of the recording where Gardner mentions that he avoids using his state email for anything that can get him in trouble is now with the Attorney General. The governor has repeatedly denied that her administration uses private email to do any state business that could be considered controversial.
The governor's office is also saying that Democrats, too, have hurled insults at Republicans. The governor's spokesman pointed to Democratic State Representative Cheryl Williams Stapleton. As we've reported, last year she was heard saying, quote, "the Mexican on the fourth floor," end quote. And many believe she was referring to the governor. Stapleton admits she made the comment, but says it wasn't directed toward the governor.
Well, the father of an Iraq War veteran who Albuquerque police shot and killed 2 years ago wants officers involved in shootings investigated again, even after grand juries have already cleared them of doing anything wrong. Kenneth Ellis is trying to get the 8,300 signatures to convince judges to create their own grand juries and have them and an outside prosecutor look at the 24 police shootings in Albuquerque in the last 2 years or so. Ellis says he respects the officers who are out on the streets, but thinks their bosses should be fired.
God bless them. They have a tough job. And with this administration and the way these guys are, they have a tougher job.
An officer shot and killed Ellis' son, Kenneth III, outside the 7-Eleven back in 2010. He was an Iraq War vet with post-traumatic stress disorder. At the time, he was holding a gun to his own head. Ellis also says he keeps pushing the Department of Justice to investigate the police shootings here.
If you had to give the Albuquerque Police Department a letter grade, what would it be? The police chief has given the department an A, saying significant progress has been made in the last 2 years. Chief Ray Schultz recently compared APD with 2 other departments that are being investigated by the Department of Justice. New Orleans PD, where 5 officers were convicted or pled guilty to shooting unarmed suspects, and Seattle PD, where the DOJ has investigated racial discrimination and excessive force claims. Now, the DOJ has not yet investigated Albuquerque police, but APD has had 25 officer-involved shootings since 2010.
For every complaint we get, there's probably 10 letters that come saying, you know what, the officer who came to my call for help, did a great job.
Chief Schultz says he has implemented dozens of new procedures since then, exceeding the DOJ's standards of transparency and training. A former police officer accused of murdering his wife says he wants his trial moved out of town. Levi Chavez's attorney filed a motion Monday saying he doesn't think Chavez can get a fair trial in Valencia County. They want the trial moved to Sandoval County, and they're blaming all the media attention. Keep in mind that people in Sandoval County get the same news as folks in Valencia. Now, detectives say Chavez killed his wife Tara with his Albuquerque Police Department issued gun in their home in Los Lunas. They say he tried to make it look like a suicide. Chavez's trial is set for next June.
The Bernalillo County Commission now has a majority of Republicans on it. Yesterday, Governor Susana Martinez appointed Simon Kubiak to fill Michelle Lujan Grisham's open seat until January. She resigned to run for Congress. Kubiak will try to keep the seat in the election in November. That's where he will face Debbie O'Malley. Well, right now, the state Supreme Court is the last hope for the group trying to raise Albuquerque's minimum wage. Yesterday, a district judge ruled that the minimum wage question includes several separate issues, and therefore it cannot be voted on as a single question in November. So the group called Olay filed an appeal with the state Supreme Court. Olay wants minimum wage to go from $7.50 to $8.50 an hour. It also wants automatic cost of living increases and wants to give workers who get tips a pay raise too.
It's that time again. Fried food, rides, and fun at the State Fair. It actually starts today, and this year's 12-day run has a lot of new attractions. We will have a lot more on what those attractions are coming up in the next half hour. And just so you know, this year, parking is free because of construction. Looking for a job? Well, get out your best clothes and spruce up that resume. The Albuquerque Job Corps is holding its annual job fair today with a number of employers looking to hire. It is open to the public. It goes from 9 a.m. to noon, and it is located at 1500 Indian School Road in Northwest Albuquerque.